Hey everyone, take a look at the new Nominating Contract packs on eFootball. We've got Player of the Month packs on the Japanese, Brazilian and Turkish leagues. We've got 4-star and 5-stars in those packs. As always, I'll put timestamps in the description, so if you want to hear about a particular player, click in the description, there'll be a link to take you straight to them. I will be reviewing the new Player of the Week pack as well. I'm aiming to do that tomorrow live on stream, so watch out for a live stream tomorrow. And of course, I'll make that live as a regular video after the stream has ended, probably tomorrow evening sometime. That's the plan anyway. So let's get into this one and we'll look at these new Nominating Contract players. So as I mentioned, we've got Japanese, Brazilian and Turkish League, 4-stars and 5-stars. Quite interesting this time around because they put 5-stars in all these packs now. There's more 5-stars than 4-stars, certainly compared to previously. So if we start in the J League here, as you can see here, you got Scholz and Osako, both 5-stars. As far as I recall, it's only the second time ever they put 5-stars in the J League Player of the Month pack towards the end of last season. I think the final one last season, we had Wakizaka and Sekigawa, both 5-stars. It's not the last one of this season, I don't think. Should be at least one more. But we've got 2 5-stars in here. So let's start with one of the lowest rated ones. We've got a few 90s. Let's start with... Who should we start with? Let's start with Tatsuki Nara. So not the first time I've had a version of this fella. He's got a face scan, of course. They're all going to have face scans in Japan, of course. He's a build-up centre-back. He's not very tall. He's about 5'10", 5'11". So there's immediately a concern over his height. We've had a previous version of this guy. I had it actually as a highlight card from one of those J League Showtime packs. I got it from a free spin, I think. Pretty similar overall, but you got the usual kind of build on a trending centre-back Player of the Week and Player of the Month. What they've done, they've kind of boosted his pace, his stamina, some of his technicals a bit of physical contact as well. So yeah, the kind of balance is a little bit different compared to that highlight card, but pretty similar overall. And skill-wise, they have given him a bunch of skills that he doesn't always have. So he doesn't always have heading and aerial. So he's even worse than they are normally, but they have improved in there with heading and aerial. That will help compensate to some extent for his lack of height. They've also added interception and acrobatic clearance. So you got, is that a full set of defensive skills there? Heading and aerial, and you got man marking, interception, blocker, sliding, acrobatic. Yeah, that looks like a pretty complete set of all the skills you need defensively, at least for a centre-back captaincy as well. Yeah, good set of skills. And he's kind of all right, you know. He's a 4-star card. Like I always say, I mean, the star rating doesn't really mean anything. It's not like we can play 4-star matches or anything. And I mentioned that I think it was the last set of Player of the Month packs. I'm really wondering, are they going to do away with 4-star nominated contracts? Are they even going to completely remove the star system? Because it's so pointless at this point, and they've been giving us less 4-star contracts, and now obviously with these packs there are less 4-star cards in them. So yeah, I just wonder, are they going to shift towards just having all 5-star players or just getting rid of the star thing? I don't know. But before I ramble on about that, yeah, this guy is just a pretty okay centre-back, really. But the height is an issue. Yes, he's got heading and aerial, but his vertical reach won't be the best. The defensives, the physical strength, all kind of okay. Heading's not brilliant. Pace is kind of okay, but as I mentioned a few times lately, you know, if you went back a year or so, that pace would be decent enough for a centre-back. I think some people at this point would say he's a little bit lacking, maybe. It's certainly not terrible. Stamina's been boosted, that's pretty nice. But yeah, he's got all the skills he needs, and everything's looking at least kind of okay-ish, certainly for a 4-star contract, but the height is a concern. There's nothing particularly amazing about him, so if you're lacking centre-backs for your JD squad, he can certainly do a job, as long as you're not coming up against any particularly tall strikers, and your opponent's, you know, not spamming crosses and so on. But yeah, I think for a 4-star contract, outside the height issue, you could certainly do worse, but like I say, there's nothing particularly amazing about him, just an okay centre-back really, with a bit of a height concern. And next we have Jordy, I believe it's Jordy Croux. The commentator the last few times I've seen this guy have said Croux. I always thought it was Crew or Cruz or something. But Jordy Croux apparently, who's now a creative playmaker. He is normally a prolific winger. They've changed him from right wing to right wing from right wing forward to right midfield as well, which doesn't really make much difference. He's got the same position he's normally got. But now in any of his 3 positions, he will be a creative playmaker. He's got a face scan, been in the J League a good few years now. We have had a few versions of this guy. I've had a couple of highlights. One's pretty similar to this one overall. The other one not quite so good. I forget which one it was, but I had one of those. It wasn't brilliant, to be honest. He didn't feel that great on the ball. He's kind of okay, but not great. What boost did we have compared to his GP card? Physical contact's had a nice boost on the ball and end product. That's the gist of it, really. And then skills. So his GP card looks like he's only got long range curler. So they've had a cut behind and turn, 1 touch and through, which is great. Point crossing, outside curler, penalty specialist, fighting spirit. They give everyone fighting spirit. So yeah, we've got some passing, some crossing. Long range curler he's already got. He's got a decent selection of skills. I think again, it's a kind of okay 4-star card. It's not amazing though. He's not great on the ball. End product wise, yes, he's got pinpoint crossing and 84 for lofted pass. He's got a little bit of curl, decent kicking power. His crossing will be decent, to be fair. That's the one thing he's got end product wise that's decent. Even with 1 touch and 3, the 75 low pass is not brilliant. 74 finishing. He does have long range curler, but again, 74 finishing still isn't amazing. So apart from crossing, the passing and shooting, not so great. So a mixed bag end product wise. And like I say, not great on the ball. Attacking mess is horrible. Decent pace, not amazing. Balance is all right, not great stamina, yeah. Like I always say, for me personally, it's personal preference, but I don't like a playmaker out wide. They tend to kind of hold off a bit on their runs. They'll drift inside at times. I want my wingers to be bursting forward and getting to good attacking positions. I don't want to drop deep and to want to kind of get on the ball and orchestrate. But that's personal preference. You might like a playmaker. But again, if you look at the end product, what he's good at is crossing. So really what you want him to do is get down the wing and get into those good positions out wide to put crossing. You don't want him to hang back and get into central positions because his passing is not great and his shooting is not great. So yeah, does it all marry up together to make him particularly effective on the right or on the left? I don't think so personally. But like I say though, he does look pretty okay. He could certainly do a job for you. His crossing is decent. Whether you're cutting inside on the right hand side to put an in-swing crossing because he's left-footed, or if you play him as a left wing forward. So yeah, bit of pace, reasonable on the ball, certainly got a decent cross on him. But beyond that though, yeah, he's not got anything particularly amazing about him. And like I say, the playing style and just the way it all marries together, the profile he's got overall, I don't think it quite works that well really for him for a winger. But he's not too bad for a 4-star contract. If you need wingers for your JD squad, he could certainly do a job for you. So it could be good for some. But like I say, I had a previous version of this guy, similar ability overall. Never felt that great for me. Didn't feel bad, just didn't feel that good. So I'm not going to be. I don't think I'm going to be picking this guy up personally. Maybe it's on the Japan account if I got enough contract spare. But yeah, it's one of these ones where I'm not too excited about him. But like I say, for a 4-star contract, you can do worse if you need wingers for your JD squad. He's okay in a bunch of areas, just not particularly exciting one there. And here's our JD keeper for this month. We've got Kosei Tani. Again, we've had a few of him. So we've got a face scan, attacking goalkeeper. I had a few versions of this guy. A couple of Player of the Month versions previously. This one's comfortably better though. In fact, this is the best version we've had of Tani so far. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Showtime version at some point. But yeah, so far, this is the best version we've had of him. Nice boost on his goalie stats. Obviously, I've nerfed his jumping and physical contact like they always do in trending goalkeepers. And yeah, for a 4-star keeper, the stats are solid. They're not amazing. The catching and parrying aren't brilliant. The awareness, bit of a shame you can't quite hit the 90 mark. Not the end of the world. It's still decent. Certainly the reflexes are great for a 4-star goalie. Reach is all right. I'm going to have a quick peek on eFootball. I'll check his arm coverage right now. It's 167. So yeah, reach statistic. Pretty good for a 4-star keeper, but with the arm coverage he's got, he's not gonna have amazing reach. The one real negative with this guy, it might have been a massive one for everyone, but that distribution, 53 low pass especially, is horrible. He doesn't have low punt either. He's got long throw, high punt, but yeah, bit of a shame he's not got low punt. Most people like that skill in the goalie, and the distribution stats do suck. So be careful when you're clearing the ball. This guy, you might just want to launch it downfield and get it as far away from your goal as you can. But yeah, in terms of the important attributes, he's solid enough. And in fact, before I forget, I think those skills are both new. I'm not sure he's got any skills in the GP card. But yeah, those stats for a 4-star goalie, pretty solid. Again, though, the fact he's a 4-star is kind of irrelevant. So he's for a 4-star contract, he's all right. For sure, I think most people would like a little bit more on perhaps awareness, certainly catching and parrying. But for a 4-star contract, if you don't have too many good goalies for your JD squad, he could be a solid one to pick up. He could certainly do a lot worse. So yeah, for in general, for divisions and so on, not sure he's going to cut it for many people. I think the vast majority of us have got plenty of better options than this. But for a JD squad, he could certainly do worse. I think for a 4-star contract, all things considered, yes, he's not going to have the best reach overall, and the distribution is an issue, but he does have some pretty decent stats in the important areas. So yeah, not an amazing keeper, but a solid one who could do a job for some people for sure. And next up is Itsuki Someno from Tokyo Verdy. So face scan, goal poacher centre forward. He's normally a fox in the box. They changed him from a fox in the box to a goal poacher. He's had a couple of highlight cards previously. They were both fox in the box. Their only skill is heading though. This has got a lot more skills. His GP card's only got heading. So we had a whole bunch of skills added here. Pretty nice selection as well to be fair. Got heading and aerial. First time shot. Long range curl, long range shooting. The only thing he's really lacking in terms of the important ones for a striker is acrobatic finishing. Quite often trending strikers are lacking that these days. Through passing, no, nice addition. Outside curler, fighting spirit, good searching skills there. Just really acrobatic finishing is the one real miss. But in terms of the stats, he's from his GP card, he's a nice boost on the ball and passing. He's put a bit on his shooting and his speed, kicking power, physical contact. He lost a few points off his balance, which doesn't make sense, but past even trying to understand some of the things they do. And yeah, on the whole, he's kind of meh. Yeah, he's another one. It seems like a lot of strikers they put in these packs are just kind of not that exciting, even for a 4-star. You know, for a goal poacher, he's not slow, but I think most of us want a bit more pace. But the awareness and finishing, the important ones, 82 and 82, not great. Just a couple more points in each of them. He could have been pretty deep, you know, at least reasonable, but 82 on awareness and finishing, even for a 4-star contract. This guy to me does not look great. He's okay on the ball. Passing could be worse, and he's got through passing, of course. Over here, he's got a little bit of physical strength. His balance isn't great. That has been nerfed, like I mentioned, which is really annoying. Yeah, it's just kind of an all-right striker, but like I say, the awareness and finishings aren't what they need to be for me. Even on a 4-star, I'm looking at this guy and thinking, well, I've got a few sort of player of the month cards and so on from my J League squad and my Japan account, and I've got some GP cards from the J League on that account, and to be honest, I'll be just as happy using them as this guy. He's not great. I mean, he's not terrible in any area, unless you consider the awareness and finishing terrible, which some might. I would say it's pretty bad. But yeah, again, another card where there's just nothing amazing about him. So I can see if people were picking this guy up and finding, you know, getting some joy out of him. Certainly got a good selection of skills. I imagine he could be alright for some people up front in their J League squad, but like I say, the awareness and finishing are really important. Two of the most important stats in a striker, and they're really not great. So you look outside of those two, think, does he make up for it elsewhere? On the ball, yeah. Passing, yeah. Pace, kind of okay. There's nothing really great there, and the two of those most important attributes really are quite poor. So yeah, unfortunately for me, even for a 4-star contract, this guy doesn't really appeal. He might be a decent option if you're just starting out with the JD squad. You've got no real options up front, but yeah, even for a 4-star contract, I can't really recommend this guy, to be honest. And next we have Yuya Osako. Not the first version we've had of this guy. So he's got a face scan. Deep line forward, that's not my favourite playing style. Albeit I'm gonna have to get used to it because now Baltimore's in the game and he's playing for Newcastle. He's always gonna be a deep line forward. But yeah, deep line forward Osako. We had a whole bunch of versions of this guy. We've had several player of the month versions. This is better than his previous ones, albeit the previous ones are all Fox in the box. At least one of them is at least close to being as good as this one. So one or two of those previous ones might be preferable if you prefer Fox in the box. I would say so personally. We've had a few highlight versions of Osako. We've had some showtimes and booster ones, which are obviously better. Outside of that, there's a solid version of him. He's got unwavering form as well. There's not that many players in the JD with unwavering form, so that is a positive as well. In terms of the stats, we've lost a point of attacking awareness. If you're a player of the month as a centre forward, why are you losing points in attacking awareness? It does not make sense. But he's had a nice boost on the ball, nice boost to his passing, nice boost to defending. Excellent. His pace is up a bit as well, physical contact as well. So yeah, it's an all-right version of Osako, but this is a 5-star card. Is this a 5-star striker for you? It doesn't look too great to me. If this was a 4-star, I was about to say, I forgot for a minute he was a 5-star. I was about to say for a 4-star contract here, it's kind of alright. But for a 5-star, not too exciting. Let's have a look at the skills. What have they done skill-wise? So skill-wise, we've got long-range curler. That's new. One-touch pass is new. Fighting spirit, of course, is new. They give everyone fighting spirit. Aerial superiority is new. He is quite good in the air in real life. He should always have aerial superiority. So you've got heading and aerial. Again, we've got a striker without acrobatic finishing. We've got first-time shot and long-range curler. Long-range curler is a very nice addition on the striker. One touch alongside through, which you already had. So one touch and through on a deep line forward. The passing stats, I mean, they've been boosted, but they're still not amazing. He's a deep line forward, so he's going to dip into he's going to drop deep and get involved in the build-up at times. Is he going to be good enough when he gets involved in the build-up? Can he hold the ball up? Can he carry the ball? I mean, he's not great on the ball. It could be worse for a centre forward, but for a deep line forward, I'd want a bit more on those stats on the ball. I'd want a bit more on the passing stats as well, even with one touch and through. The awareness and finishing are okay. Not amazing, but they're okay. He's got a bit more pace than normal, but he's still not the quickest. Bit of kicking power behind his shots, that's good. Bit of strength, not a lot of balance. Yeah, I got to be honest. I mean, I've got a Showtime version of Osako, so I've got to be careful not to kind of compare it to that one because it's an unfair comparison. But this is a 5-star player. You're going to have to use a 5-star contract on him. Is this guy worth a 5-star contract? I'm really not sure. If you really like a deep line forward and you've not got many good strikers for your JD squad, and if you've got the 5-star contracts to spare, then yeah, he could be handy. In my experience, he's pretty decent. He's a good all-rounder, but again, you know, some of these stats for a 5-star card, I just want a bit more. You know, nothing's particularly great. I mean, the kicking power is pretty good, but that's about it really as far as good stats. You know, the awareness and finishing are okay, on the ball passing kind of okay. Yeah, if this was a 4-star card, I'd be saying, yeah, it could be decent for some people. It's a decent enough card, not an amazing one. But for a 5-star, I don't know. Unraven forms, a whole bunch of stats which are kind of okay. Good selection skills. Yeah, certainly for some people, if you've got the contracts to spare, you like a deep line forward, could be good for your JD squad. But beyond that, I don't think this is a particularly appealing card for a 5-star contract. And last up, we've got Alexander Scholz, who's back in the J League. He was at Urawa Reds for a while, and he went away for some oil money. Now he's back, and he's playing for FC Tokyo. He has a face scan. It looks like his hair... Has he cut his hair finally? He used to have a ponytail with a headband. They might need to update that hair. But yeah, he's got a face scan either way. Build-up centre-back. He's about 6'2", 6'3". We've had previous versions of Scholz. I've got a highlight card, which is kind of decent. Very similar overall to most. He's had a couple of highlights that are fairly similar overall, but again, it's that regular kind of build they do for trending centre backs, player of the week and player of the month. They boost the pace and, you know, some of the athleticism and don't do much with the defending. So yeah, from his GP card, the pace is up, stamina's up. They put a bit on his jumping, to be fair. Actually, they boosted his jumping from his GP card. So yeah, he's got that kind of a profile compared to his highlight card, so a slightly different profile, but similar overall. He's had a couple of player of the month cards previously, but they're not as good as this one. And skill wise, he's only got a few on his GP card. He's got penalty specialist. He is a penalty specialist in real life. He's got fighting spirit and sliding tackle. Everything else is new, so some very good additions for Scholz here. We've got man marking, interception, blocker. He's not got heading. His heading stat's not great, so he's not going to be great at heading the ball, but he's going to be better at winning those headers in the first place than he normally is, because he's got aerial superiority and a nice boost to his jumping. And outside of that, he's got pretty much all the defensive skills he needs, really. So yeah, good selection of skills there for a centre back. And in terms of the stats, they kept that tackling just one shy of being able to hit the 90 mark. That's a bit harsh, but on the whole, we are looking pretty decent with the defensives. The pace is reasonable. The jumping still not great, even though it's been boosted. So he's not going to be great in the air. Yes, they've given him aerial superiority. Yes, they've boosted the jumping, but he's about 6'2", 6'3", 78 jumping. He's going to be okay in the air. He's not going to be brilliant. That's in terms of winning the headers. When he does win the headers, his heading won't be brilliant as well. So I would say there was a bit of a concern on this guy's aerial ability, even though they've improved it quite a bit. Physical strength is decent. Stamina's decent with the boost it's had. So yeah, again, is it a good version of Scholz? Yes, but you're looking at using a 5-star contract on this guy. Is this guy worth a 5-star contract? I don't know. I think if you're really focusing on your J League squad and you've got a lot of 5-stars spare and you need someone to use them on, then yeah, he could be a handy one. He's certainly solid, but for just thinking in general, if you're looking at your division squad, your main squad, you're going to use a 5-star contract on this guy and you're going to put him in your team. I mean, if you just got the game, maybes, but if you've been playing the game for more than a week, you've probably got better options at centre-back. So I think this is one of those ones where you need to be building a JD squad and you need to have enough spare 5-star contracts, really, because he's not particularly bad. It's just the aerial ability where there's a bit of a question mark. Outside of that, he's pretty solid, but there's nothing really amazing about him. So yeah, he's got a good selection of skills. A lot of stats are just about fine, really. Just the only real concern is the aerial ability, but there's nothing particularly amazing there. So is he worth a 5-star contract? And generally speaking, I'd say no, but if you've got the contracts to spare, you really want a good centre-back for your JD squad, he could definitely be worthwhile to pick up because he can certainly do a job for you, but for a 5-star player, just generally speaking, not amazing. Right, that is the J League pack done. Now let's go from Japan to Brazil, which I do quite often when I'm streaming. So again, we've got, I think 3, is it? Yeah, we've got 3 5-stars in this Brazil pack, so they have slightly increased the amount of 5-stars within these packs this time around. So 3 5-stars and 3 4-stars. Let's start with this guy. Let's start with Matheuzinho. So first things first, we got a little fella, 165 centimeters. He got that low center of gravity. There's actually been a previous player of the month version of this guy. It was a 5-star hold player, same positions except I think it had right wing forward as well. That previous one was a 5-star, but the one real difference is that the passing on that one was way better than this one. Much better passing. Apart from that, not a massive difference. He's normally an attacking midfielder. I changed him to a right midfielder this time. But yeah, when I was looking at the previous version on the eFootball Hub, I was surprised I hadn't already picked the previous one up because I like the tiny players with that low center of gravity. He looked pretty decent, but I guess for a 5-star contract, 5-star contracts weren't as easy to come by back then. They're probably a bit scarce, so that's probably why I didn't pick him up. But yeah, it's mainly just the passing that was better about him, and obviously I've changed the playing style because they made him a creative playmaker this time. And yeah, he's fairly decent looking. So he's got that low center of gravity. He's got a bit of pace. The speed's a little bit lacking maybe, but he's fine with the acceleration. The balance is good. On the ball, he's pretty tidy. So yeah, it looks like he's going to feel pretty neat on the ball. He's had a bit of a boost to his attack awareness. They've actually nerfed his passing quite considerably from his GP card. That's strange. I can understand. Well, I kind of get when they're changing the profile of the player a bit. Sometimes they can kind of put a few stats down a bit if they're going to put other stats up. But just as I'm saying that, I realise it's another one of these cards. He's a creative playmaker, and they made him significantly worse at passing. I don't know what to say, so I'm not going to say anything. They're giving him a nice boost to his shooting, though. A nice boost to just about everything down the right-hand side, except for jumping, which I guess makes sense because he's not going to get any taller. Yeah, and then skill-wise, what's happening skill-wise? They've given him double touch. They've given him long range curler. That's a good one. So he's a left footer probably playing on the right hand side, because are you going to play an attack midfielder who can't pass the ball to save his life? No, you're not, unless you're insane. So yeah, if you're playing off the right wing, long range curler is a nice addition. Penalty specialist, hooray! And you guessed it, fighting spirit, because everyone gets fighting spirit. Yeah, so he's got a decent set of skills there. He's got a couple of skill moves, long range curler, through passing, pinpoint crossing. So he's got a bit of end product skill wise, albeit the passing, crossing, and shooting in terms of the attributes not amazing. So there's a slight question mark over the end product across the board, really. Just be careful with him. He should be okay. You got the skills to back him up a bit. Like I say, though, the attack awareness is decent, good on the ball, bit of pace, good balance. Very weak. He's obviously a small, weak player, but yeah, I think it's one of these guys. And before I forget, he does not have a face scan. Hopefully, he gets one at some point, because I'm going to pick this guy up on my Brazil account. But yeah, I was saying this about, I've already forgotten who was it in the Japan account. It was Jordy Croux, or however you say his name. It's another one where you're gonna play this guy at wide, because he can't pass the ball well enough to play as an attacking midfielder, and he's a creative playmaker. But I mean, even no matter where you play him, he's going to be a creative playmaker in both his positions, and he can't pass the ball. Why have they made him a playmaker? I just don't understand it. Like, just make him something different. Make him a roaming flank. Why not make him a roaming flank? Or why not just not nerf his passing? I mean, was he a lot worse at passing than normal? Because if that's the case, then why is he in Player of the Month? I'm going to lose my mind if I try and make sense of it. But yeah, I think you're basically just looking at this guy, and you're seeing a guy who clearly, like I say, he's not got the passing for attacking mid, but as a right winger, if the playing style works for you, with his physical profile and the fact that he's going to be reasonably quick and nippy, good on the ball, he's going to feel nice on the ball, got a little bit of end product as long as you don't ask too much of him. So yeah, for a 4-star contract, for a nippy little left-footed right winger, if everything works, the player style works for you, yeah, I think it could be a pretty fun one to have. It could be a decent one, this, for a 4-star contract. Yeah, next we have Dave Duarte, the Destroyer centre-back. Dave does not have a face scan. He's a Destroyer centre-back. He's kind of looking alright. It's the first time I've had a version of this guy. And for a trending centre-back, you will not be surprised to hear that they basically just boosted his pace, his stamina. Not a lot else. Oh, his jumping and heading's been boosted a bit. They don't always do that. They've sometimes nerfed jumping and heading on centre-backs recently, so that's good. They boosted those a bit, albeit, like the Scholz and the J League pack, the jumping's still not great. It's exactly the same, I think, as what Scholz had. This guy is about 6'3", 6'4", slightly taller than Scholz. And he does have he's not got that many skills, this guy, actually. They have added all these skills, actually. They've added all these skills, so he's not normally got any skills. So certainly a bigger upgrade in the skill department. We've got heading and aerial, man marking, search, blocker, fighting. He's got most of the skills he needs, to be fair, for centre-back. It would be nice if he had acrobatic clearance, maybe sliding tackle. I think those are the only two really important ones he's lacking. It's questionable whether those are really that important. I think certainly acrobatic clearances. Opinions vary a bit on those skills, but certainly I think the ones he's got the very most important ones for a centre back, to be honest. So yeah, could do with one or two more, but he's got the most important ones, I think. And yeah, he's got just about everything he really needs. This is a 4-star this time, and to be honest, when I look at all these stats, he's not that far off being as good as Scholz is, and Scholz is a 5-star. So for a 4-star contract, I think this guy's alright, to be honest. I mean, the awareness and tackling are pretty decent. Aggression and defensive engagement, you could argue those are a little bit low. They're not brilliant, but they could be worse. The pace is kind of okay. Again, I think a year or so ago that'd be fine. It's pretty debatable now. I think there are probably quite a few people who say he's a bit slow this time at this point. and he's quite tall with air superiority, but the jumping's still not great even though they boosted it, so he's not going to be amazing in the air, but he won't be too bad either. Good physical strength, decent stamina with the boost he's had. Yeah, I think you're looking at a solid centre-back for a Brazilian A squad, to be honest. Outside of that, again, I mean, if you rock a Brazil squad, if you're really desperate, he could do a job for you. But I think primarily for Brazilian League squads, this guy could be a solid addition for a 4-star contract. If it was a 5-star, I don't think I'd be interested. But for a 4-star contract, there's no real glaring weakness for me. He's not going to be amazing in the air. There's 1 or 2 stats you'd like to be a little bit higher, but on the whole, I think he looks, for a 4-star contract, he looks pretty solid and could give you some pretty decent value as a centre-back for your Brazilian League squad. And now we have a guy who I've wanted a special version of for a long time, because I like this guy, but I've not been wanting a centre forward version. I like this guy out wide. He's normally a winger. They've changed him from a left wing forward to a centre forward. He's normally a prolific winger. This time he's a goal poacher. Weak foot accuracy has been increased, so he's pretty two-footed. He has a face scan, and yeah, you've got a centre forward goal poacher. He's about 6 foot tall, and so the first thing I'm looking at there, finishing is not great. I know this is only a 4-star striker, but 80 for finishing. Yeah, they have boosted it, but still only 80. What else have they boosted? Physical contact. To be honest, he's had a decent boost overall, but finishing and physical contact look like they're the only two that've had a real significant boost. Everything else is just kind of slight boost across the board, really. But it is a decent boost overall, and they've slightly changed his profile as well from a winger to a centre forward. What have they done skill-wise? They have taken away no-look pass and scissors feint as usual, and sombrero. And what have they added? Long range curler is new. I think outside curler is new. Captaincy, I think, is new. He has been captaining Flamengo quite a bit, I think. And of course, fighting spirit. I think that's just about it. So yeah, decent section skills here. This guy's an interesting one because he's not massive, but for a winger, he's a reasonable height, and he's always got heading and air superiority. So he's quite good in the air for a winger. When I've used him in the past as a winger, he's quite good at coming at the far post and getting on the end of deep crosses. As an out-and-out centre forward, obviously good still to have heading and air superiority. First time shot, long range curler, good ones. Again, though, we don't have acrobatic finishing. It's a nice one to have on strikers, on any forward really, acrobatic finishing. So a shame we've not got that, but we've got some good skills there. But yeah, in terms of the stats, even though they boosted it, finishing for me on the centre forward is still not that great. And it's pretty poor. And the attacking rate's at 83, that's not great either. He's decent on the ball for a goal poacher. He's got decent pace. Balance could be a bit higher. Yeah, he's kind of alright. This is a 4-star card, but yeah, as much as he's got some decent stats, the awareness and finishing are probably the two most important stats on the centre forward, and the awareness is a bit lacking and the finishing is just quite poor for me. So this is a guy I've liked in game for quite a while, so I'm disappointed that when we finally get a good card of him, it's not that good. It's not even for a 4-star. As a winger, you can still play him as a winger. Is he good enough to play as a winger? He's got enough pace. Balance isn't great. On the ball is not amazing. So yeah, I think this is one of these cards where the fact he's got a bunch of positions he can play, he might just be one of these cards where for your Brazilian league squad, he could be a handy one to have, just to fill in if you're really desperate for someone. You know, if all your other players are out of form up front or out wide. But whether you play him up front or out wide, he doesn't look that great to me. Yes, he's got some qualities, but like I say, for a centre forward, not quite got the awareness he needs from me, and the finishing is poor. For a winger, I just don't think he's quite good enough on the ball, really. So there are qualities there as a kind of utility man to kind of do a job when you really need someone. Could be handy. He does have some pretty good skills as well, but even for a 4-star contract, for a Bruno Henrique card, it's a bit disappointing for me. I think on the whole, even for a 4-star, even though you could do a job for some people and be a handy one to have in your squad for 4-star contract, I don't think it's going to be particularly great value. And now we have our first version of Nuno Moreira. He is a whole player left midfielder. He's normally a left wing forward and a creative playmaker. He's a righty, so if you play him on the left, he'll be an inverted winger. You can also play him on the right. You can play him as an attack midfielder if you don't mind playing attack midfielders who can't pass the ball to save their life. No face scan. What have we had? Well, not had a previous version of them, have we? What have they done compared to his GP card? So his finishing and physical contact have had the biggest boost. Same as Bruno Henrique, to be honest. It's just the finishing physical contact they've had a noticeable boost. Apart from that, just a kind of decent boost on the whole, really. Oh, they've added left midfield as a position, by the way. That's a new position. He's not fully proficient usually. But yeah, finishing physical contact, apart from that, just a bit of a boost across the board, really. What they've done skill-wise. So his GP card's got soul control, long range shooting, and track back. They've added a bunch of skills. First time shot, through passing, pinpoint crossing, heading. Awesome. He's a wing when he's not particularly tall, so heading's not really one of the skills I'll be looking for, but we've got some good ones there. Shame he's not got long range curler, especially if you're playing off that left wing. But we do have long range shooting, first time shot. We do have acrobatic finishing for once. And through passing and pinpoint crossing will help a bit with his own product as well, which is a bit lacking. So again, we've got a guy who's, you know, he's got his pace is kind of okay. On the ball, he's kind of okay. Bit of balance on him, but with the end product, not brilliant. A little bit lacking there. You have to be careful with the end product. Whole player, attacking awareness is decent enough for a whole player out wide. Yeah, I think there's another card where he's got a few positions, so it could just be a handy one to have for your Brazilian League squad, where you could just fit in when you really need someone. But in terms of getting straight into your team and really improving it, even for 4-star, he's not amazing. He's not particularly terrible anywhere, just a little bit lacking with the end product. And there's just, again, it's one of these cards where none of the stats are particularly great. I don't see anything that's going to hit the 90 mark. So there's nothing quite around that level. But like I say, there's nothing particularly terrible here either. You know, the passing's not great, I guess, and the finishing, but on the whole, he's okay. Could be a handy one for your Brazilian League squad. If you're lacking options in those kind of wide areas, maybe even attacking mid if you can live with the low passing. It could be a handy one to have. Could be a useful one if you've got 4-star contracts to use up, and if you don't have, you know, if you're lacking options in those areas for Brazilian League squad for sure. So yeah, could be a handy one to have. Could be to pick up, but for a 4-star contract, yeah, I don't know. Decent skills, attributes kind of okay. Could be if he helps improving your kind of Brazilian League options, could be a handy one. But for a 4-star contract, I don't see anything that great about him. But like I said, there's no major weakness there, so you could certainly get some use out of him. And then next we have Aníbal Moreno, or is it Aníbal Moreno? What's that accent do to the eye? I don't know. Got a face scan, anchorman, defense midfielder. A couple of years back, we had a player of the month version of this guy that was pretty similar to this, to be honest. Same kind of playing style and everything. The stats aren't that different to this one. So if you got the previous one, you probably don't need this one. It's pretty similar. Got unwavering form. A quite nice boost down the left. But we've lost a few points of all his defensive attributes, which is strange. If you're an anchor man, if you've been one of the best players in the league over the past month as an anchor man, you would think you wouldn't be made worse at defending. But apparently that's what's happened. But yeah, certainly down the left we've had a pretty nice boost. And they boosted his pace, his physical contact, balance and stamina boosted a bit as well. Yeah, kind of looking solid, to be honest. A fairly solid defensive midfielder. But again, we're on to the 5-stars. This guy is a 5-star player, so you're going to need a 5-star contract for this guy. Is he worth a 5-star contract? Not so sure. Let's look at the skills. So skill-wise, we've lost... Oh, they've taken away heading. That's good, because I once played against the guy who had this guy, his previous player of the month card, and he absolutely destroyed my Frank Rijkaard. And yeah, so they've taken heading away. That's good. We've lost gamesmanship as well. And given him pinpoint crossing and blocker. I think that's it. So yeah, pretty good section skills on this guy, to be honest. You've got defensive anchorman, on the ball, one touch and 3 important ones. Then defensively interception blocker. You got aerial superiority. Oh, he's still got that, so he's still going to beast my Frank Rijkaard, and yeah, excellent. Starting tackle Frank Spirit. So the only one I think he's really missing here is man marking. So man marking is a bit of a shame he's not got that. I do think that's an important one on defensive midfielder. But apart from that, though, good selection skills there. And yeah, I think it's a decent little anchorman, to be honest. I think for your Brazilian League squad, if you're lacking defensive mid options, he could be a handy one to pick up. For a 5-star contract, that's the thing. Is he worth a 5-star contract? If this was the 4-star card, I'd say, yeah, he's pretty good. It could be good value for you. I'd recommend him. But for a 5-star contract, I don't know. There's some decent options in that Speedsters pack. I'm not sure he's worth a 5-star contract for a lot of people. But if you've got 5-star contracts to use up, if you do need some options in the area of the pitch for your Brazilian League squad, I think it could be reasonable. He's not amazing on the ball. Attack awareness sucks. Passing's not brilliant. Even though he's had a boost down the left, he's not going to be the best when he gets on the ball. But even though Nurse's defense is there, he's still all right defensively. The tackling is good. You're going to hit the 90 mark for your tackling there. On the whole, he's going to be pretty decent defensively. He's had a bit of a boost to his physical contact, albeit it's still not brilliant for an anchorman. He's got a little bit of pace. Stamina's good. Yeah, it's not an amazing card, this. A lot of people like their anchorman to have long legs for the interceptions, and he's certainly not going to have that. not the biggest guy, but he's got most of the skills he needs, just lacking man marking. So I can see a fair few people picking this guy up if you need an option as for a defensive bid for your Brazilian League squad. You don't get that many good anchorman cards for the Brazilian League. So yeah, I do imagine there will be some people who will be willing to use a 5-star contract on this guy. But if you don't get to do the Brazilian League Challenge, or even if you do and you've got good options in that area of the pitch, for a 5-star contract, I don't think he's amazing. Certainly if he was a 4-star, I think it'd be pretty good. And just generally speaking, I think he's reasonable looking. He's certainly doesn't look like a bad card, but I just don't think for a 5-star contract, he's going to be particularly amazing value, really. And we got a goalkeeper from the Brazilian League. We got Cássio. He's got a face scan. This is not our first Cássio, so this is better than the previous Player of the Month Cássio that we had. We had a highlight version as well. I think they are both attacking goalkeepers. At least one of them is an attacking goalkeeper. He's a defensive goalkeeper this time. And yeah, this looks like about as good a version we've had of him. One thing I learned today when I was looking at eFootball, there's actually another goalkeeper in Brazil called Cássio. And he's even older than this one, but he's not as good. So yeah, this is a solid looking goalie card, to be honest. Again, I'm going to quickly jump over to the eFootball. I'm just going to check in the arm coverage in the background. And it's 175, which is decent. Okay, so reach 88, 175 arm coverage. So there's no issue with reach on this goalie. Awareness is sound. Reflexes are pretty good. Catching and parrying, decent. They're not amazing, but they could be worse. This is a 5-star card, so you're going to have to use a 5-star contract if you want this guy. The distribution sucks. Be careful with his distribution. He does have low punt, and then he's got penalty saver and captaincy. So yeah, a bit of a concern with the distribution, but in terms of the shot stopping, looking pretty solid. He's a big tall guy as well, 195 centimeters. Obviously, I've nerfed his jumping in a physical contact as usual, so his jumping absolutely sucks, but it's not that important on the goalie. People ask all the time, does jumping contribute to their diving? No, it doesn't. Jumping is vertical. If a cross comes into the box or a high ball comes into the box, jumping is literally jumping up and down. These stats are going to determine his ability to jump to the sides, and even for the top corners, jumping does not apply to that. It is still important to catch crosses and high balls, of course, but it's not going to be something that affects his ability to dive and make saves. So yeah, jumping has been nerfed and it's terrible. But in terms of the most important goalie attributes, nice boost, and it's a solid Cássio card. The coverage is good. The most important goalie attributes are good. Yeah, to be honest, I think I said this last time. I think it was Agustin Rossi, the goalie last time in the Brazilian Player of the Month pack. That guy I thought was a pretty solid keeper in general, not just for the Brazilian League Challenge. And I'm going to say the same for Cássio. I think even for your main squad, you might not be on the level of a lot of keepers these days, especially the kind of pay-to-win ones, the legends and showtimes. But he's pretty comparable to a lot of, I think, Player of the Week keepers and so on. I think if you don't have any of the kind of, the beefy kind of showtime booster legend type goalkeepers, this guy could definitely do a job. I'm not saying he's an amazing keeper by any means, but for a 5-star contract, it's not going to cost you anything in terms of real money. I think he's pretty solid looking. I think in terms of his shot stopping, at least, it looks like a pretty solid goalie, could do you a job, and especially for the Brazilian League Challenge. If you get to do the Brazilian League Challenge, or if you rock a Brazilian League squad for any other reason, or even just for your Brazil squad, I think he's a very usable goalkeeper. He can be very solid, could certainly do a job for you. Just like I say, the distribution does suck a bit. So yeah, all things considered, maybe distribution sucks a bit, but I think he's a solid keeper, at least for the Brazilian League Challenge. And even outside of that, for a 5-star contract, he could do worse. Not an elite level keeper by any means, but yeah, for a free-to-play keeper, if you want to call him that, I think he's pretty solid looking. Now let's go to Turkey. And again, you'll see in Turkey we have 3 5-stars, so there are more 5-stars this time. So we'll start with the 4-stars though. Let's start with Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Let's start with Kévin. So we got Kévin Rodrigues, Portuguese attacking fullback. He's a left back. He has a face scan. We've actually had a version of this guy previously. We had a previous Player of the Month version quite a while back. This one is better than the previous one. In terms of the boost from his GP card, physical contacts are the biggest boost. Apart from that, he's just kind of boosted a little bit everywhere, really. Decent boost overall, although he's lost a few points of stamina, but that's still high enough, I guess. Skill-wise, they've taken away Scissors Feint, as always. They always take that one away first. They really are. They're not hiding the fact that they know how terrible Scissors Feint is. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just not the most important skill, is it? So Scissors Feint is gone. Cut behind and turn is gone. Dipping shot is gone. I don't think we're going to miss any of those terribly. We've gained first time shot, so he must have scored a goal in the past month. Man marking. and fighting spirit. Okay, so for an attacking fullback, we've got a pretty good selection of skills here. A couple of shooting skills just as a little bonus on top. Soul control is a nice bonus to have for a fullback. But then through passing, weighted pass, pinpoint crossing, very nice ones to have on an attacking fullback when he gets forward. And defensively, man marking, interception, sliding tackle, fighting spirit. So we might not have every skill. It would be nice if we had, for example, one-touch pass. Maybe he's outside curler, maybe he's blocker. But we've got a pretty good selection of skills for an attacking fullback here. Unwavering form as well. So again, we've got another player with unwavering form. That's always nice to have. And yeah, on the whole, I think it looks all right. We are starting with the 4 stars. This guy will only need a 4-star contract. I think the reason this guy is only a 4-star, not a 5-star, is basically because he's a little bit lacking speed, a little bit lacking defensive awareness. I think those are the 2 things you're only really lacking a bit on, to be honest. The speed is very important. We know that they consider speed to be important in fullbacks, because when you have a trainable fullback, they always allocate 1,000,000 points to the lower body to give them like 99 speed. So yeah, speed and awareness lacking a bit, but I think that's really it, to be honest. Apart from awareness, the other defensive attributes for an attacking fullback are fine. And apart from speed, the acceleration is good. It's got some kicking power. Physical contact, I think some would argue that's a bit low as well, to be fair. I think you can live with that, certainly on an attacking fullback. Maybe not if he was a defensive fullback. Balance is good for fullback. Stamina's fine, even though I've nerfed it a bit. The dribbling's not amazing, but the ball control and tight possession are fine. Low enough that they're certainly fine. And again, he does have through passing, weighted pass, and pinpoint crossing. He's going to have a decent cross on him. Mid-80s for lofted pass, curl, and kicking power. I think on the whole, this guy's a decent attacking left back, to be honest. He does lack a little bit of speed and defensive awareness, but apart from that, for me, for an attacking left back, pretty tidy. I think he's a reasonable one. If you still get to do the Turkish League challenge, I think it could be a very handy option if you like attacking fullbacks. If you don't, obviously it's hard to see what use you'd have for him, because outside of the Turkish League challenge, if you're looking at divisions and so on, unless you're like a Portugal squad, you don't have too many left back options. I'm not sure he's going to get straight to too many people's best teams, the strongest squads. But at least for the Turkish League challenge, I think for a 4-star contract as an attacking fullback, all things considered, yes, a couple of important stats are a little bit lacking, but I think that's the only reason he's not a 5-star. I think everywhere else you look, for an attacking fullback, the skills, the rest of the attributes, I think he could be decent, to be fair. So yeah, for a 4-star contract, if he suits you, especially for the Turkish League challenge, this guy could be a handy one to pick up. And next up, we have Felipe Augusto, whole player attacking midfielder. He is normally a centre forward target man. He's quite tall, about 6'1", 6'2". I don't think we had a previous version of this guy. He does not have a face scan. He's a lefty. It looks like they've added left midfield, right midfield, attack midfield, and SS. It looks like all those positions are new, and they've even given him centre midfield as a semi-proficient position, even though you can't position train him. Awesome. And he can still play centre forward as well if you want to do that. But yeah, in terms of the stats though, not sure he's that great in any position. Where are you going to play him? What position is he going to be good in? I'm not sure. They've boosted him pretty much everywhere really, apart from attacking awareness. They've nerfed his heading for some reason. But yeah, where's he going to be good? I mean, the awareness and finishing are a bit lacking for centre forward. Apart from that though, he might still be best in his usual position as a centre forward, to be honest, because if you play him as any kind of, I mean, if you play him in any other position, you need him to be better on the ball than that. He's not great on the ball. His pass is not brilliant. What's the skill situation looking like? So no through passing. He's got one touch pass, but no through passing. So yeah, I don't fancy this guy through the middle, behind the attack. What have they added? It looks like his GP card has only got heading and penalty specialist, so everything else new. Long range curler, first line shot, one touch, pinpoint crossing, outside curler, fighting spirit, of course. Yeah, it looks like they've almost kind of made him a striker in every way except his position. This guy just isn't going to be good enough on the ball or with his passing to be a number 10. Has he got the pace? Well, he's got a bit of pace, but has he got the on-the-ball ability to play out wide? Not really. I don't know what this guy's going to be. For me, the only position I'm looking at and thinking this guy would be pretty, at least reasonable, is centre forward, because he's got a little bit of pace, bit of strength as well. He's going to be okay on the ball for centre forward, and the awareness and finishing, they're still not great for centre forward, but I think they make him better as a centre forward than he would be in any other position, to be honest. I just don't think he's got the ability to be a winger or a number 10. So yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this card. Like I say, winger, don't think he's going to be good enough on the ball. Through the middle as a number 10, either attacking midfield or SS. He'll have that whole player playing style active in all his positions except for centre forward. So he'll be a whole player behind the attack, whether he's attacking midfield or SS. And like I say, he's not going to be good enough on the ball for me. And he's quite tall and got poor balance as well. So and the passing. Yeah, without through passing, we got and 76 for low pass. This guy for me is not good in any of his positions. I think the one position he could be usable in is the centre forward. He's got a bit of ability. He's kind of okay in a bunch of areas, but not great anywhere. So could be a handy utility man for your Turkish League squad, but I don't see him being particularly good in any position except for centre forward. And even as a centre forward, I mean, he's got some good skills there, and he's got a bunch of attributes that are kind of okay, but in some of the important areas, he's a bit lacking. So even for a centre forward, I'm not so convinced. This for me, yeah, versatile for a Turkish League squad, just for a 4-star contract. Yeah, it could be worth picking up if you got the contracts to use, but yeah, all things considered, it's not a particularly great looking card to me. And next we have İsmail Yüksek. Probably said that wrong. A box-to-box defensive midfielder. He's got a face scan. Only standard form. This guy is normally an anchorman, so changed to a box-to-box. We've had a couple of versions of him previously, actually. We've had a couple of highlight cards. There was an anchorman that was actually a little bit better than this one. And there was another box-to-box that's not quite as good overall, but the stats are kind of shuffled around quite a bit. So pretty different profile, really. But the boost they're giving him, they're giving him a nice boost on the ball. Boost his finishing. He must have scored a goal. Boost his pace, his kicking power, his balance. Slightly nerfed his defending. So this is an obvious one. He's normally an anchor man, but if they change it to box to box, he's obviously been playing a bit further up the pitch. So he's lost a bit from defending, but he's gained a bit elsewhere. So that kind of makes sense. And look at the skills. Yeah, he must have scored. They've given him first time shot. And they've added one touch pass, weighted pass, no through passing. No, that's a shame. Oh, he's already got it. There you go. So he's already got through passing. And they've added one touch and weighted, so that's good. And then outside curler, he's one-footed, so outside curler is a very good addition. Defensively, he is lacking skills. He's only really got interception. So it'd be nice if we had man marking blocker, but I think that the way they're built and the way they've changed him from the way he normally is, he's obviously going to be a bit more comfortable going forward. He's a bit more forward thinking, so he's going to be more of a kind of double pivot type of a player as a defensive midfielder. Otherwise, you're going to play him as a centre mid, and he's going to be a bit of an all-rounder. But yeah, another card there for a 4-star contract. Is he great at anything? No. His stamina's good, but that's about it, really. You look elsewhere, he's just kind of okay-ish at everything. He's kind of okay on the ball. The attack awareness sucks. His passing is kind of all right. It's not amazing. Defensively, yeah, he can do a job. He can stick his foot in a bit, but he's not going to be too strong defensively. And then down the right, not the quickest, not the strongest, not got great balance. Stamina's good. I think he's kind of okay as an all-rounder. If you're lacking midfield options for your Turkish League squad, definitely could be a handy one to come in just to kind of fill it, just to plug a hole and to give you an option. But like I say, he's not great at anything. Nothing really stands out. Pretty good selection skills as an all-rounder. Could do with one or two more if you're going to use him in a more defensive kind of role. So yeah, he looks okay for a 4-star contract. Could be useful, could be a handy one if you really need someone in midfield. But like I say, the question I'll be asking is what's he good at? And I'm not sure what the answer would be, apart from stamina, which is not, obviously stamina is important on a midfielder, but you want a bit more than that. So yeah, he's not terrible at anything. He could certainly do a job, could be a useful option for you, but there's not really enough there for me to looking at him now, looking at all these stats to really be able to say it'd be great value for a 4-star, but certainly it could be a useful one if you need an option in midfield for your Turkish League squad. We're on to the 5 stars now. So we've got Roland Sallai. And this is an interesting one because we've had a few Sallais before, but this is a different role that he's been given. They've added right back as a position. He's normally a right midfield hole player. They made him a right back and an attacking fullback. We've had a Player of the Week SS version of Sallai. To be honest, when you look at the midfield and attacking position, it's fairly similar overall to this, to be honest. But the stats obviously get shuffled around a bit on that one. We've had a highlight card that was also quite similar overall, but you can't make him a right back. It was a winger, I think. So it's a different role they're giving this Sallai. And it's difficult to compare him to his GP card because obviously they've changed him to a defender. But generally speaking, I think it looks okay. I think for an attacking fullback, maybe he's like a little bit more acceleration. Maybe he's 1 or 2 defensives. The awareness of tackling could do being a little bit higher. Apart from that, they're pretty solid. But again, we're on to the 5 stars now. Is this guy worth a 5-star contract? I'm not sure myself. I don't really see a 5-star player here. If he was a 4-star, I'd say he looks pretty decent. For a 5-star contract, I don't know. If you're really lacking right backs for your Turkish League squad, maybe. But it's also worth considering though. He is very versatile. He can play right down the right flank. He can also play as a left wing forward or an attack midfielder. But how good is he going to be in those positions? Let's have a check of his skills first, and then we'll look at that. So skill wise, We've lost a whole bunch. They've changed a bunch of skills around. So we've lost scissors feint again, flip flap, chip shot control, acrobatic finishing. They really don't think acrobatic finishing is important, do they? Penalty specialist, we can live without that. We have gained, though, one touch pass, through passing, pinpoint crossing, outside curler, interception. So I think that we've had a pretty good trade there. We've got some very good skills added. He's already heading there. Got track back. Yeah, pretty good selection skills there. It'd be nice to have fighting spirit and maybe one or two extra defensive skills to go alongside interception if you're going to play him as a fullback. But interception is an important one. It's one of the most important ones for a fullback. Certainly going forward, the passing, the crossing, we've got some good ones there. He's certainly going to be an attacking fullback rather than a defensive one. And I think he's a usable one, but like I say, one or two defenses could do with being a little bit higher there. If you're going to move him further up the pitch as a right winger, is he good enough on the ball? Not so sure. Is his crossing going to be particularly good? Not so sure. If you're playing wide left, is he going to be particularly useful coming off the left flank or to his right foot? His finishing sucks. He's not got any real shooting skills apart from rising shot, which isn't really that helpful in my opinion. It's another one of these cards. I don't think he's going to be particularly great in any position. He's not got the passing to play attacking mid either. So if you're really desperate, yes, he could play as a winger, right or left, or as an attacking mid. But has he really got the ability to be particularly good in any of those positions? In my opinion, no. I do think as a right back, he could be pretty decent as an attacking right back. As a defensive left back, right back. If you're looking to put defensive on him and hold him back, would he be effective as a defensive fullback? I don't think so. He's not the strongest. His defending's not quite as good as you probably want a defensive fullback to be. So I think he's very much an attacking fullback. And I do think he's a decent one. I do think he can do a job. Just one or two attributes there, just a little bit lacking, but he's got for the most part a pretty good selection skills for an attacking fullback. But yeah, I'll come back to that same question: is he worth a 5-star contract? I think it's just another one where I'm going to say the same thing. If you get to do the Turkish League challenge, or if you're building a Turkish League squad for any reason, and if you've got 5-star contracts to use up, and if he's going to improve your right back options, yeah, he could be a handy one. Outside of that, I don't think he's really worth a 5-star contract. I don't think it's bad. Like I say, there's only one or two attributes that are a little bit lacking. So if you're really desperate for right backs in general, and if you've got the 5-star contract available, yeah, it could be a good option for you. But yeah, on the whole, outside of whether he's going to improve your Turkish League squad for a 5-star contract, I don't think he's particularly bad, but I don't think he's really going to be the best option for you when you look at all the options that are available to you. And next we have Ünder. I've not had an Ünder guy in a while. So, got a play scan, whole player right midfielder, not for the first time. He is normally a right wing forward and he's normally a prolific winger. His weaker foot accuracy has been increased, so he's pretty two-footed. We've had 3 previous trending versions of Ünder. We've had they're all pretty similar, to be honest. If you look at all the 3 previous trending ones, all around about the same level in terms of overall ability to this one. But they're just kind of stats get shuffled around each time. We've had a roaming flank player of the week version when he was at Fenerbahce. We've had a previous player of the month when he was at Fenerbahce. That was a right midfield whole player like this one. We had a player of the week, I think, when he played for Turkey one time a couple of years back, maybe 1 year ago, something like that. That was an attacking mid whole player. Like I say, the stats are shuffled around. They're all kind of better in some ways, not so much in other ways, but overall ability pretty similar, really. If you've got one of those previous ones, you're happy with it, you probably don't need this one. It's a similar story with a couple of highlights that we've had of Ünder as well. They're both prolific wingers. I've had at least one of those myself. You can train those cards though, so yeah, around about the same overall ability. But the fact you can train them, that might give them the edge over this one. But this is a whole player version. You might like that playing style. It's a decent version of him. It's another decent version of Ünder. He's had a few points put in his lower body stats, his speed, kicking power, stamina. He had a few points on his balance. Big boost to his physical contact as well. Obviously, they boosted defending, of course. Why wouldn't they? On the left, he is pretty decent on the ball, but we've lost the point off ball control and tight possession, and they've not put anything on dribbling. That's odd. But yeah, that's what they've done there for whatever reason. We've gained some attacking awareness. We've gained a bit on his end product. Yeah, that's about it. So yeah, like I say, it's a decent looking undercard. Another one that's around the same level as previous ones, but he's pretty tidy, quite quick, got some kicking power behind his shots, good balance. Stamina absolutely sucks though. On a whole player, he is going to get tired. Keep that in mind, he's going to need something off. Tidy enough on the ball. Shame his ball control's not a bit higher, but on the whole, he's going to be tidy on the ball. Good attacking awareness for a whole player. Low pass is not great. The lofted and finishing are certainly workable. What skills does he have to back him up with his end product? Oh, he's got some decent ones. Interesting. So they have taken away, yeah, you guessed it, scissors feint. and rising shots. We've only got 2 new ones. We've just got through passing, which is a good one, and surprise, surprise, fighting spirit, of course. So yeah, we do have some good skills here. We've got a couple of skill moves when he's on the ball, but long range curler, long range shooting, and first time shot. Got a bunch of shooting skills there. Then we've got through passing and pinpoint crossing. So yeah, even with through passing, be careful with his passing, his low passes, because his low pass attribute is a bit on the low side, but he's got the skills to back up his lofted pass and finishing, so they're okay. And like I say, he is decent on the ball. The attacking awareness is pretty good for a whole player. His whole player playing style will be active right mid, left, and attacking mid. It will not be active right wing or left wing as a forward. But yeah, pace, kicking power, balance. He's got a lot of qualities. He's undercard. We are on the 5 stars. You are going to need a 5-star contract for this guy, but he is versatile. You can use him on the left or the right. It can be handy both ways. He's got that long range curler cutting off the right flank onto his left foot. He's got pinball crossing off the left flank, but like I say, he's not going to have amazing end product, so don't ask too much of him. But yeah, he's going to be pretty decent on the ball. In my experience, I've had a couple of undercards. He is a decent one. He does get the job done. You know, he's got some goals for me. He's created some goals for me. He does feel nice on the ball. So if you've not had an undercard, if you get to do the Turkish League challenge, then this could well be a decent one, even for a 5-star contract. He's certainly a very usable card. And even outside of the Turkish League challenge, he could do a job for sure. He's not an amazing 5-star. There are 1 or 2 attributes, I think, mainly the ball control and the low pass, which are a little bit on the low side. But there are plenty of qualities there. He's got some good skills as well. So yeah, it's a similar, like I say, in terms of the overall ability, pretty similar to previous undercards. I think a lot of us have probably got an undercard by now, but if you don't have one, he could well be worth considering for your 5-star contract. Not an amazing card, but certainly a very usable one. It could be decent for you. And finally, we have Bruno Petković. He's a Croatian forward. He's playing for Kocaelispor, which I've probably pronounced wrong. So he's got a face scan. He's a deep lying forward. So we've got another deep lying forward. Is that playing style going to work for you? Not for everyone. Inconsistent form. We've had a previous version of Petković, a player of the week version. That was a fox in the box. I prefer that playing style. It was fairly similar overall. So for the playing style alone, I would have preferred the player of the week one, but that's personal preference. You might prefer a deep line forward. He's a nice boost on the ball from his GP card. They put a bit more on his end product as well. He boosted defending. Excellent. I'm really glad they did that. Put a bit on his lower body stats as well. Skill wise, you're not going to believe this. They've taken away scissors feint. They've also taken away chip shot control, rising shots, acrobatic finishing. Why do they keep taking acrobatic finishing away from strikers? Stop it. Like, why are you doing that? It's important. And they're taking away gamesmanship as well, but they've given us a long range curler, long range shooting, 1-touch pass, captaincy, and fighting spirit. So a pretty good trade on the whole. Taking away acrobatic finishing from strikers is just very, very annoying. But yeah, that's what they've done. I think on the whole, we can live with that. I mean, long range curler, long range shooting, on first time shot. We've got those shooting skills, got a heel trick, 1-touch pass, a nice addition, but no through passing. Is a deep line forward. Again, deep line forwards, they will drop deep and get involved in the build up. You need them to be able to get on the ball and hold it up and pick a pass. So the lack of through passing, bit of a shame there. No heading, but we've got aerial superiority. So would he be good at winning headers? I mean, he's quite tall. He's about 6'4". He's got aerial superiority, but jumping 74. So no, he's not going to be that great at winning headers. And when he does win them, he's not got that heading skill. His heading attribute's not amazing. So I don't think he's going to be that great in the air on the whole. Physically strong, not a lot of balance though, albeit they've made him a bit better on the ball. Hard to know what to make of this guy. How comfortable is he going to feel on the ball? I did actually have his GP card. I might still have it, to be honest. I think it's in my backup players. His GP card, I don't know what it is now, but I had it quite early on. It was a 3-star deep line forward. He always felt okay to me. He never felt amazing. He's never one of my favourite 3-stars to use. I did rock a 3-star squad quite often. But yeah, he kind of always felt all right. Look at this card, the way they boosted him. I imagine he's going to feel reasonable on the ball. Not too amazing, no. But what concerns me is just the fact it's another one of his cards where you look at the playing style, the way he's going to move, the way he's going to play, and you look at the strengths he's got. Does it all marry up? Does it all quite come together to make him a good deep line forward? And I just don't think it does. 1-touch pass, okay, nice addition, but no through passing, 75 low pass. His passing's not great. He's not got he's got really poor balance, to be honest, and he's not the quickest either, so there are some strengths with this guy. He does have some strengths. He some physical strength there, and he will be able to hold on to the ball, hold off defenders and that. But his passing is not going to be brilliant. The awareness and finishing, I think they're kind of okay-ish. They're not amazing. 85 awareness, 84 finishing. If you've got an 89 rated manager, they're both going +3 with the game plan boost. But yeah, the pace isn't great. There's a few attributes that aren't quite what I want them to be. Inconsistent form. I don't think this is a bad card, but we're going back to the same question. Is he worth a 5-star contract? For me, no. I don't think this is a bad card. He's got a slightly different profile to most strikers. But I just don't think for a 5-star contract it's really worthwhile. If you get to do the Turkish League squad, or you got the Turkish League challenge, or if you got a Turkish League squad for whatever reason, then yeah, it could be a decent option. But looking at all the options you got, primarily in the speedsters pack, is it going to be worth using when your 5-star contract's on this guy? Even though he doesn't look like a particularly bad card, I just don't think he's quite on the level that I'd say is worth a 5-star contract. So I think for some people, if the playing style and everything else, the kind of profile and the balance of the stats works for you, it could be a handy one to pick up. Could well be a decent one. Like I say, based on the 3-star GP card that I've got, or certainly that I had, I wouldn't mind having this one. But with the options we've got available, the fact there are more 5-stars than normal, is he worth using a 5-star contract on? For some people maybe, but I think for a lot of people, probably not. So that's all 3 of the new packs. At least the nominating contract ones. So out of the 4 stars, for me personally, I would recommend these guys. Tani, I don't think is amazing, but I think for a 4-star contract for a goalkeeper for your JD squad, I think he's solid. He could definitely do a job for you. I think he's, like I say, he's not one I'm going to be rushing to pick up, but I think for a 4-star contract, he could well be good value. There's not that many particularly good goalies from the J League, so yeah, for your JD squad, for a 4-star contract, he could be decent value. Big Dave Duarte there, I think for a 4-star contract could be solid. If he was a 5-star, I don't think I'd be touching him. But I don't think there's any major weakness with this guy. He's got just about enough of all the things he needs really. So for a Brazilian league squad, I think for a 4-star contract, he could be pretty solid value. Kévin Rodrigues, if you like a defensive fullback, look away now, because that is not what he is. But if you like an attacking fullback, you like a fullback who can get forward and can contribute an attack and can just do just enough defensively, I think for a 4-star contract, he could be very decent value. And then Matheuzinho, it looks like he's going to feel pretty nice on the ball. He's got that low centre of gravity. He's only 165 centimetres, bit of pace, balance, good on the ball attributes. I think for a 4-star contract, could be a fun one to pick up as a nippy little winger. So those are my recommendations. But like I say, it's just my personal preference. But I think out of all of them for a 4-star contract, I personally would say these 4 are the ones that represent the best value. And as for the 5-stars, I'm not really sure. You got a bunch with the J League. We've seen Scholz and Osako. I don't think Osako is that great for a 5-star. Scholz is kind of okay. Cássio, I think, is probably a pretty solid one, to be honest. He might be my pickup with the 5-stars, and then maybe Ünder after him. But there's a whole bunch of 5-stars, and if you really like an anchorman, you might like Moreno from the Brazilian League pack. You might fancy Petković. I don't know. Sallai could even be a pretty decent right back for you. There's a bunch of 5-stars in these packs. And of course, as I mentioned a couple of times during this video, you got the Speedsters pack as well, which is still there for a couple of weeks. And you've got some pretty decent 5-stars in there. I picked up Kuznov on this account. And then you've got Adiemi, Frimpong, Opanda, Van der Ven, Valverde. You've got a whole bunch of good 5-stars in there. So yeah, when you're looking at all these new 5-stars, have a look at the Speedsters pack, because you've got to compare these new ones and ask yourself, who's really going to be worth the 5-star contract, who's going to give you the best value. Like I say, there may well be a few of these 5-stars that could be good for you, but I'm not sure this selection of 5-stars on the whole is really going to be that appealing to that many people, outside of giving you a really good option for one of these league challenges, if you get to do these league challenges still, which a lot of people don't. But yeah, on the whole, I think a reasonable selection. Not the most exciting one we've had, but certainly not the worst. And as I touched on earlier in the video, I find it interesting the fact that they seem to be making the 4-star contract a bit more scarce, and they've increased the amount of 5-star players available. I'm starting to really feel like they're kind of moving towards something in terms of getting rid of the 4-stars. Whether they get rid of 4-star players completely, or whether they're just going to get rid of 4-star contracts and a nominating contract is just literally going to be a nominating contract, and there's not going to be any such thing as a 4-star or 5-star anymore. I feel like that's what they're working towards, maybe for the next big update next year. I don't know. Time will tell, but yeah, either way, I think that's a reasonable selection. But let me know what you think. Be interested to know your thoughts on these new packs. Hopefully this video has been useful for you and helped you to decide who to use your contracts on. As I mentioned at the start, I'm aiming to do a stream tomorrow. Things are starting to ease up a bit, so hopefully I'll get back to doing some more videos a bit more regularly now. So yeah, hopefully a stream tomorrow, and I'll try and review Player of the Week, I think, live on that stream, and then I'll upload that later on as a standalone video. And if you're not in the Discord already, jump in the Discord. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you found it useful, and hopefully I'll catch you soon for the next video or stream. Take it easy, have a great weekend, see you later.